Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about kindness, what it means, and where its true strength lies. Being kind is a choice, a powerful choice that speaks to our values and integrity. But kindness isn't about letting everyone have their way, nor is it about being walked over. No, real kindness has boundaries, and those boundaries are a mark of self-respect. To be truly kind, you must respect yourself first. The way you treat yourself sets the example for how others will treat you. So when you set boundaries, when you say no, don't feel guilty. That no is you showing the world that your kindness isn't a pass for anyone to take advantage. Yes, kindness is a gift, but it's not a crutch. You're not here to carry everyone's load. Some people, unfortunately, will try to drain your energy, those who see your kindness as an opportunity to take rather than a chance to give back. Let them go. You can be compassionate without compromising your own well-being. Stand firm, my friends. Let your kindness be a strength, but let your boundaries be the guardrails that protect it. Remember, helping is noble, but you don't have to be everything to everyone. And most importantly, never forget your worth. So be kind, but don't let people use you. Kindness is strength, not weakness. Kindness is often misunderstood as an act of weakness, something done by people who are afraid to stand up for themselves or face the harsh realities of the world. But this perception couldn't be farther from the truth. True kindness is not passive, nor is it an easy choice. It requires immense strength because it involves giving something of yourself without expecting anything in return. It involves resilience in the face of adversity and a deep understanding of the power that kindness can wield in a world that can sometimes seem overwhelming. Being kind means you are choosing to show up in the world not out of obligation, but because you understand the value of compassion. To be truly kind requires emotional strength, not just physical presence. It takes great emotional fortitude to offer kindness when the world around you may be unkind, when others might be judgmental, or when people may try to take advantage of your goodwill. But it's in those moments when kindness seems the hardest to offer that it becomes the most powerful. It takes strength to respond with patience, empathy, and generosity when others may choose to be harsh or indifferent. Kindness is about being self-aware and in control of your emotions. It's easy to let anger or frustration dictate your actions, to lash out when you feel wronged. But choosing kindness in those moments, choosing to take a step back, to breathe, to respond thoughtfully requires an immense amount of inner strength. It's in those moments that we reveal our true character. Kindness doesn't come from a place of fear or uncertainty. It comes from a place of emotional mastery, from the courage to stay grounded when chaos surrounds us. Moreover, kindness isn't about being a pushover or letting others take advantage of your generosity. True kindness knows the importance of boundaries. It recognizes that there's power in saying no. Being kind doesn't mean you should sacrifice your needs or well-being to meet the demands of others. On the contrary, kindness involves knowing your limits and choosing not to allow others to overstep them. It's not about being nice for the sake of being liked. It's about respecting yourself enough to protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space. And that in itself is a form of strength. The strength in kindness also comes from the willingness to show vulnerability. It's easy to shut down, to protect yourself behind walls, especially when you've been hurt. But kindness requires an openness, a willingness to be vulnerable, to offer your heart and your time, even when there's a risk of being hurt in return. The true strength of kindness is not in its ability to shield you from pain, but in its ability to endure and continue in the face of it. When you show kindness, you allow yourself to be open, to give, and to connect with others on a level that requires courage. It's the strength to trust, to give freely, and to be unafraid of the possible disappointments that may come with it. Kindness also means taking responsibility for your actions and being accountable. It requires the strength to own your mistakes, to apologize when necessary, and to extend grace not only to others, but also to yourself. It's easy to point fingers and blame others, to hold grudges or let anger fester. But the strength to be kind means letting go of resentment, understanding that forgiveness is not about excusing poor behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of holding onto negativity. The act of forgiving, whether it's forgiving someone else or forgiving yourself, takes great strength. It's not a sign of weakness, it's an act of power and emotional resilience. In a world that often rewards aggression, self-interest, and speed, kindness is the quiet force that can change hearts and minds. It's a force that over time can shift perspectives and transform relationships. The power of kindness isn't in grand gestures, but in its consistency, in the way it quietly builds trust, strengthens connections, and creates lasting bonds. When you choose to be kind, you are not only enriching the lives of those around you, but you are also cultivating your own sense of peace and fulfillment. The strength to be kind is the strength to remain grounded, to choose empathy, and to hold space for others without compromising your own sense of self. Ultimately, kindness is a reflection of the strength it takes to remain compassionate, even when the world around us may not be. It's about choosing to act from a place of love and respect, not only for others, but for ourselves. It's about the courage to be vulnerable, to forgive, to speak truthfully, and to offer support without expecting anything in return. Kindness is strength because it requires us to be our best selves, even when it's hard, and it has the power to change lives, to heal wounds, and to create a ripple effect that touches everyone we encounter. True kindness does not seek recognition or reward. It stands on its own as a profound expression of the human spirit, one that endures, transforms, and ultimately leads us toward a more compassionate, connected world. Respecting yourself is the foundation of every healthy relationship you have, whether with others or with yourself. It is not merely an act of self-care or self-interest. It is a powerful and necessary practice that shapes the way you move through life. The idea of respecting yourself first is not about arrogance or selfishness, but about recognizing your own inherent worth, understanding your boundaries, and valuing your needs. It is about being intentional in how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you. Respecting yourself means acknowledging that you are worthy of love, care, and attention, both from yourself and from those around you. It is the recognition that your thoughts, feelings, and opinions matter. When you respect yourself, you create an internal compass that guides you toward choices that align with your values, goals, and desires. You start to value your time, your energy, and your emotions, and as a result, you become more selective about how and with whom you invest those resources. At its core, self-respect is about understanding that you are not defined by the opinions or actions of others. It means you do not need external validation to feel secure in who you are. The practice of self-respect requires a deep sense of self-awareness. You learn to distinguish between what is truly important to you and what is imposed upon you by others. It means letting go of the need to constantly seek approval, to please people at the cost of your own peace, or to fit into societal molds that don't align with your true self. Respecting yourself first also involves setting and maintaining boundaries. It is the ability to say no when something or someone does not serve your well-being, and to walk away from situations that are not in alignment with your values. Boundaries are a form of self-respect because they demonstrate that you are committed to honoring your own needs, desires, and limits. This means saying no to people who drain you, to obligations that deplete you, and to behaviors that undermine your peace. It requires strength to prioritize yourself, but it is also essential to preserve your sense of self and prevent burnout. When you respect your own boundaries, you make space for growth, for joy, and for meaningful connections. Self-respect also involves being kind and forgiving to yourself. It means you are patient with your own growth and are not overly harsh or critical when you make mistakes. Understanding that you are human and will falter sometimes is essential to nurturing self-respect. When you respect yourself, you allow room for imperfection, and you give yourself the grace to learn and evolve without self-judgment. This is not an excuse for complacency or lack of accountability. It is a reminder that mistakes are part of the journey. Respecting yourself means not holding on to guilt or shame, but rather using your mistakes as lessons for growth and transformation. Furthermore, respecting yourself involves making decisions that prioritize your long-term well-being. This means thinking not just about immediate gratification, but about what will serve your future self. It requires that you take responsibility for your actions and the impact they have on your life, your health, and your happiness. Whether it's the decisions you make about your career, your relationships, your finances, or your personal growth, self-respect involves making choices that align with your deeper values, even when those choices are difficult or uncomfortable in the short term. Respecting yourself is also about honoring your emotions. Your feelings are valid, and they are a reflection of what is going on inside of you. When you respect yourself, you don't suppress your emotions or dismiss them as unimportant. Instead, you give yourself permission to feel, to process, and to express your emotions in healthy ways. You learn to listen to yourself, to trust your instincts, and to honor your emotional needs. This emotional intelligence is a key part of self-respect, as it helps you navigate life with authenticity and confidence. At times, respecting yourself first means walking away from relationships, environments, or situations that diminish your value. It's not always easy to leave people or places that are familiar, but when you respect yourself, you understand that staying in these situations only compromises your happiness, growth, and peace of mind. You come to realize that your worth is not tied to others' treatment of you, and that your energy and time are precious commodities. The more you respect yourself, the less you are willing to tolerate negativity or toxicity in any form. Respecting yourself also includes a commitment to your own growth and self-improvement. It is recognizing that you deserve to live a life that is fulfilling and authentic. You actively seek out ways to expand your knowledge, refine your skills, and deepen your self-awareness. This dedication to self-growth is not about seeking perfection, but about honoring your potential and taking steps every day to become the best version of yourself. In relationships, when you respect yourself, you set the standard for how others should treat you. You are no longer willing to accept anything less than respect, honesty, and love from those you allow into your life. You understand that mutual respect is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. When you respect yourself, you attract people who also respect you, and you naturally gravitate toward connections that uplift and support your well-being. Ultimately, respecting yourself first is the key to living a life of integrity, authenticity, and peace. It's the practice of putting your own needs and values at the forefront, recognizing that you can only give to others from a place of self-respect. When you respect yourself, you build a foundation that allows you to face challenges with confidence, to navigate relationships with clarity, and to live a life that is aligned with your true essence. The more you respect yourself, the more you radiate that respect outward, and the more you become a magnet for positivity, love, and growth. Setting healthy boundaries is a vital practice for maintaining your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It's about recognizing your own limits and understanding that you deserve the space to protect your needs, your time, and your peace of mind. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others, they are also about saying yes to yourself. They are a reflection of your self-respect and a way to ensure that you maintain balance in your life, especially when demands from the outside world can overwhelm you. The first step in setting healthy boundaries is recognizing your needs and acknowledging your worth. Many people struggle with this because they feel obligated to meet the expectations of others, often at the cost of their own well-being. However, when you are clear about your values, your time, and your emotional reserves, you can begin to identify what is and isn't acceptable in your life. Boundaries are a form of self-care, allowing you to protect your energy and avoid situations or people that drain you or cause stress. Setting boundaries requires you to have a deep understanding of yourself, including your limits, triggers, and emotional needs. It means recognizing when you're reaching a point of exhaustion or frustration and taking proactive steps to prevent burnout. For example, if you find that constant work emails in the evening interfere with your family time, it's essential to set a boundary around your availability after hours. This allows you to focus on your personal life without feeling guilty for taking time away from your work. Similarly, if someone repeatedly disrespects you, a healthy boundary might involve distancing yourself from that person or having a direct conversation about the behavior you're unwilling to tolerate. One of the hardest aspects of setting boundaries is the fear of disappointing or angering others. Many people hesitate to establish boundaries because they worry about conflict, rejection, or being labeled as difficult. However, healthy boundaries are not about being confrontational. They are about communicating your needs clearly and respectfully. It's important to recognize that others' reactions are not your responsibility. You cannot control how someone will respond to your boundaries, but you can control how you enforce them. Setting a boundary may be uncomfortable at first, but it is a crucial act of self-respect that allows you to honor your own needs without guilt. Healthy boundaries also mean protecting your time and energy. Time is a precious resource, and when you fail to set boundaries, you may find yourself overcommitted, overwhelmed, or spread too thin. You may be asked to do favors, take on projects, or attend events that drain you, even when you don't have the bandwidth for them. Setting boundaries is a way of asserting that your time is valuable. It means being comfortable saying no when you cannot take on additional responsibilities and recognizing that it's okay to prioritize yourself. Saying no is not a rejection of others, but rather a commitment to your own well-being. You're choosing to honor your time and your limits, which ultimately allows you to show up in a more authentic and energized way when you do say yes. In relationships, setting healthy boundaries is essential for maintaining mutual respect and balance. Whether in personal, professional, or romantic relationships, it is crucial to communicate what is acceptable and what is not. This may involve expressing your need for personal space, requesting that certain topics not be discussed, or asking for respect when you need quiet time to recharge. Setting boundaries also means recognizing that you cannot be everything to everyone. It's important to prioritize relationships that are supportive, fulfilling, and based on mutual understanding. When you set healthy boundaries, you avoid feeling overwhelmed by others' expectations and ensure that your connections are built on respect and understanding. Furthermore, setting boundaries is not just about protecting your time and energy, it's also about protecting your mental health. When you allow people or situations to constantly invade your space, whether it's emotionally or physically, you begin to lose your sense of self. The constant pressure to meet external demands without honoring your own needs can lead to stress, anxiety, and resentment. Healthy boundaries help you maintain your mental clarity and emotional stability, allowing you to navigate challenges without feeling constantly overwhelmed. When you practice setting boundaries, you're actively taking steps to preserve your peace of mind. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not rigid, they are fluid and can evolve over time. What works for you in one season of life may not work in another. Boundaries should be reassessed regularly to ensure that they still align with your values and needs. As you grow and change, your boundaries may shift as well. What's important is that you maintain the flexibility to adjust as needed without feeling guilty. Life is dynamic, and your boundaries should reflect that. Learning to set boundaries is a skill that requires patience and practice. It's easy to feel guilty or uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself. However, the more you practice setting healthy boundaries, the more natural it becomes. The key is to stay consistent and compassionate with yourself. Setting boundaries is not about being perfect. It's about being mindful of your needs and protecting your well-being. It's about cultivating a lifestyle where you prioritize yourself without feeling selfish, where you recognize your worth and are willing to stand firm in your decisions. Lastly, setting healthy boundaries isn't just a form of self-protection. It is also a way to create healthier relationships with others. When you set clear boundaries, you communicate what is acceptable in a way that fosters understanding and respect. People who respect your boundaries are more likely to value you and your time, and they will reciprocate with kindness and consideration. Boundaries create the space for healthy, balanced relationships where both parties can thrive without fear of resentment or exploitation. When you enforce boundaries with clarity and respect, you encourage others to do the same, creating an environment of mutual respect and understanding. Ultimately, setting healthy boundaries is a key element in living a balanced and fulfilling life. It allows you to prioritize your needs, preserve your energy, and maintain healthy relationships. It's an act of self-love, self-respect, and personal empowerment. By setting clear boundaries, you honor your own value and ensure that you can show up as the best version of yourself in all areas of your life. Saying no without guilt is one of the most empowering practices you can embrace in your life. It's the act of asserting your needs, values, and priorities without feeling obligated to justify or apologize for your decision. The ability to say no free from guilt is a sign of emotional strength and self-respect, yet it's a skill that many people struggle with. Whether it's in personal relationships, at work, or in social settings, we are often conditioned to say yes, even when doing so goes against our best interests or well-being. The fear of disappointing others or creating conflict can make saying no feel uncomfortable, yet it's a crucial practice for maintaining balance, protecting your time, and preserving your mental and emotional health. To begin, it's important to recognize that saying no is not an act of rejection or a sign of selfishness. Saying no is simply a way of asserting your boundaries and ensuring that your needs are respected. It's about acknowledging that your time, energy, and emotional resources are valuable, and that you deserve to direct them in ways that align with your personal goals and well-being. Often we say yes out of a sense of duty or fear that if we don't, we will be seen as unhelpful, rude, or unkind. However, saying yes when we don't truly want to can lead to resentment, burnout, and a loss of personal fulfillment. Saying no without guilt starts with recognizing that it is a necessary act of self-care. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you constantly say yes to others at the expense of your own needs, you risk depleting your energy and emotional reserves, leaving little left for yourself or the things that matter most. By saying no, you are choosing to protect your energy, to invest in yourself, and to honor your own well-being. It is not a selfish act, it is a responsible one. You are taking the necessary steps to ensure that you are able to give your best when you do choose to say yes. Another crucial aspect of saying no without guilt is understanding that you do not owe anyone an explanation for your decision. The act of saying no does not require justification, and you are not obligated to explain yourself to others. When you feel the need to over-explain, it often comes from a place of insecurity or a desire to seek approval. However, the truth is that you are allowed to make choices based on your own needs without having to defend them. You have every right to decline an invitation, a request, or a favor if it does not serve you, and you do not need to justify it to anyone. This can be liberating as it allows you to honor your boundaries without getting caught up in a cycle of over-explanation or guilt. One of the most common reasons people feel guilty when they say no is the fear of disappointing others. Many of us have been taught to prioritize the needs of others above our own, and as a result, we internalize the belief that we should always say yes to avoid letting someone down. However, the reality is that you cannot be everything to everyone, and your well-being should always come first. If you constantly say yes out of fear of disappointing others, you may find yourself overwhelmed and drained, which ultimately makes it harder for you to be there for the people who truly matter. By saying no when necessary, you are actually showing up more authentically for others, as you are making choices that enable you to give your best when you are present. Saying no also requires the courage to acknowledge that your time is valuable. Every time you say yes to something or someone, you are giving up a piece of your time. Time is one of the most precious resources we have, and it's essential to use it in ways that reflect your priorities and values. When you say no, you are making a conscious decision to invest your time in things that are meaningful to you. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, focusing on personal growth, or simply resting, choosing to say no allows you to reclaim control over how you spend your time and energy. Saying no without guilt also means understanding that people may be disappointed, but their disappointment is not your responsibility. We cannot control how others feel, and sometimes when we say no, others may feel hurt, frustrated, or upset. However, it is essential to remember that their feelings are their own. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. When you say no, you are acting in alignment with your own needs, and that is what matters most. It's important to recognize that disappointing someone is not a reflection of your worth or character. It's simply a natural part of interacting with others, and it's something that we all experience from time to time. Learning to say no without guilt also requires practice and self-awareness. It's not something that happens overnight. Many people struggle with guilt because they've spent years pleasing others and neglecting their own needs. However, every time you say no, you reinforce the message that you value yourself and your well-being. Over time, this practice becomes easier, and you start to feel more confident in your decisions. The more you say no without guilt, the more you develop a deep sense of self-respect, and the more you empower yourself to live in alignment with your values and priorities. Another important aspect of saying no without guilt is recognizing that it is not a permanent refusal. Saying no does not mean that you are closing the door forever. Sometimes it simply means that now is not the right time. You may say no to a request because you have other priorities, but that doesn't mean you won't be open to it in the future. Saying no allows you to create space in your life for the things that matter most without the pressure of taking on everything at once. You may find that when you say no in the short term, you can make room for opportunities and experiences that truly align with your long-term goals. Ultimately, the ability to say no without guilt is an act of personal empowerment. It's about recognizing that you have the right to make decisions that serve your best interests, even if they are not always in line with the expectations of others. Saying no is a healthy practice that strengthens your sense of self, helps you maintain balance, and ensures that you are living a life that reflects your true desires and values. It may be uncomfortable at first, but over time, it becomes a tool of self-preservation and authenticity. By saying no when necessary, you allow yourself the space to grow, to rest, and to thrive. Beware of energy vampires, individuals, or situations that drain your emotional, mental, or physical energy without giving anything positive or fulfilling in return. These energy vampires are not always easy to identify, as they often disguise themselves as harmless, well-meaning people or circumstances. But over time, their presence can take a toll on your well-being, leaving you feeling exhausted, depleted, and emotionally drained. The danger lies in the fact that these energy vampires can often leave you feeling responsible for their needs or emotions, making it difficult to recognize the negative impact they are having on your life. At the core of the energy vampire dynamic is an imbalance of energy. These individuals often rely on others for their emotional sustenance, seeking validation, sympathy, or attention at the expense of others' emotional reserves. They may be constantly demanding, self-centered, or manipulative, drawing people into their personal drama or problems, often without regard for the emotional toll it takes on others. Over time, you may find yourself giving without receiving anything meaningful in return. The relationship becomes one-sided, and your resources, whether they be time, emotional energy, or patience, are drained. One of the most insidious aspects of energy vampires is that they often don't even realize the damage they're causing. Some may be genuinely unaware of their behavior, while others may act out of desperation or insecurity. However, regardless of their intentions, the result is the same: they take more than they give. You may notice a gradual shift in your energy levels. After spending time with them, you feel emotionally exhausted, mentally foggy, or physically drained, but they seem unaffected. as if their needs have been met while yours have been ignored. These individuals may often be in a constant state of crisis or drama, creating a world of chaos around them that demands your attention. Whether they are experiencing personal struggles, projecting their own fears, or simply refusing to take responsibility for their emotions, they may drag you into their turmoil. You may feel pressured to provide advice, comfort, or solutions, but despite your efforts, nothing seems to change. Each interaction leaves you feeling as though you've poured your energy into a bottomless pit, only for it to be consumed without any appreciation or tangible result. Energy vampires can come in many forms. Some may be friends, family members, co-workers, or even romantic partners. They may exhibit patterns of manipulation, guilt tripping, or excessive emotional dependency. They may use passive-aggressive behavior to draw you in, making you feel obligated to help them or solve their problems, even when it's clear that they are not willing to take responsibility for their own actions. These patterns of behavior can be subtle at first, but over time, they erode your sense of self-worth and make you question whether you are doing enough for the other person, even when it's clear that the relationship is no longer reciprocal. One of the biggest challenges with energy vampires is the feeling of obligation. Many of us have been conditioned to be kind, generous, and helpful, often at the expense of our own well-being. We might feel guilty for saying no or withdrawing from a person who constantly demands our time or emotional energy. This sense of duty can keep us trapped in these draining relationships where we continue to give despite feeling empty inside. But the truth is, it is not selfish to protect your energy. In fact, it is an act of self-care. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and constantly sacrificing your energy for someone who does not reciprocate is ultimately unsustainable. In these situations, it's essential to recognize the signs of energy depletion. Pay attention to how you feel before and after interactions with certain individuals. Do you feel lighter, more inspired, or uplifted after spending time with them? Or do you feel drained, anxious, or emotionally exhausted? Trust your instincts. If someone's presence consistently leaves you feeling depleted or overwhelmed, it may be a sign that they are draining your energy in unhealthy ways. It is important to honor these feelings and take steps to protect your emotional and mental health. The first step in addressing energy vampires is to establish and maintain strong boundaries. This means learning to say no when you are feeling drained, even if the other person may try to guilt trip you into continuing the interaction. Boundaries also involve limiting the time and emotional energy you invest in relationships that leave you feeling exhausted or unappreciated. While it may feel difficult at first, setting boundaries is crucial for maintaining your sense of self and protecting your well-being. Boundaries are not about rejecting or abandoning others. They are about recognizing your own needs and taking responsibility for your own emotional health. Another key aspect of dealing with energy vampires is recognizing that you are not responsible for other people's emotions or problems. While it is natural to want to help others, it is essential to understand that you cannot fix someone else's life, nor should you bear the emotional burden of their issues. An energy vampire may constantly seek validation or attention, but it is not your job to provide it at the cost of your own peace. When you stop taking on their emotional weight, you begin to reclaim your own energy and sense of balance. Self-awareness is also a critical component in protecting yourself from energy vampires. It's important to regularly check in with your own emotional state and assess whether you are giving too much of yourself to others. Are you neglecting your own needs in favor of others? Are you constantly feeling drained or anxious after spending time with certain individuals? Recognizing these patterns early on can help you make more informed decisions about where to invest your time and energy. It's okay to choose not to engage with someone who consistently drains you, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. In some cases, it may be necessary to distance yourself from the energy vampire altogether. This can be a difficult decision, especially if the person in question is a close friend or family member. However, it's important to recognize that you have the right to choose your relationships and protect your well-being. Sometimes the best way to deal with an energy vampire is to create physical or emotional distance, allowing you the space to recharge and focus on your own needs. This may involve setting clear boundaries, having an honest conversation, or simply reducing your contact with them. Ultimately, protecting yourself from energy vampires is about recognizing your own worth and refusing to accept relationships that deplete you without offering anything in return. It is about learning to prioritize your own emotional health and setting boundaries that allow you to flourish. It's important to understand that you cannot change others, but you can control how you respond to them. By recognizing the signs of energy depletion and taking proactive steps to protect your energy, you can create healthier, more balanced relationships and ensure that you are investing in the connections that truly support and uplift you. Kindness is often seen as a virtue, an ideal that we should all aspire to. It is an expression of compassion, empathy, and care for others. But while kindness is a powerful and positive force in our lives, it is important to understand that it should not be used as a license to allow others to take advantage of you, to manipulate your actions, or to walk all over your boundaries. Kindness does not mean that you should put others' needs ahead of your own in a way that leaves you drained, unappreciated, or disrespected. It should never be viewed as an excuse for others to exploit your goodwill without reciprocation or consideration. The misconception that kindness is a license for others to impose upon your time, energy, and resources often arises from societal pressures, cultural expectations, or personal insecurities. Many people are taught from a young age that being kind means always saying yes, always being helpful, and always putting others first. While these qualities are admirable in moderation, they can quickly become harmful when taken to extremes. When kindness is taken as a carte blanche for others to push your limits, it leads to a situation where you feel obligated to keep giving, even when it is at the expense of your well-being. Over time, this can result in burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion, all while the person you are trying to be kind to may remain unaware or indifferent to the toll their demands have taken on you. At the heart of this issue is the concept of personal boundaries. Healthy boundaries are essential to maintaining balance in relationships. They allow you to protect your time, your emotions, and your energy, ensuring that you are not being taken for granted. Kindness without boundaries can lead to a sense of obligation that overpowers your sense of self-worth. People may begin to view your kindness as something to be used to their advantage, expecting that you will always be available for them, regardless of your own needs or limitations. This imbalance can distort the purpose of kindness, transforming it from a voluntary act of compassion into an exhausting pattern of self-sacrifice that leaves you with little to give to yourself or to others who truly deserve your kindness. The key distinction is that kindness should be a conscious choice, not an automatic response to every situation or request. When you say yes out of a sense of obligation rather than genuine desire, it can lead to feelings of resentment or frustration. You may feel like you are constantly saying yes to others, but the kindness you offer may lose its true meaning. It becomes less about helping others and more about fulfilling expectations, which ultimately depletes your emotional reserves. True kindness comes from a place of inner strength, where you choose to give freely without expecting anything in return, but also without compromising your own needs, values, and well-being. Moreover, kindness is not a justification for allowing others to treat you poorly or disrespect you. Sometimes people may take advantage of your goodwill by testing how far they can push you, seeing if you will tolerate bad behavior or let them take more than they are willing to give. This is where boundaries come into play once again. Kindness should never be an excuse for others to mistreat you, disregard your time, or take advantage of your emotional energy. Just because you are kind does not mean that you have to tolerate negative behavior or allow others to use you. You have the right to stand up for yourself, to say no, and to enforce your boundaries with compassion, but without guilt or hesitation. One of the dangers of thinking that kindness is a license for others to demand more from you is that it often leads to a lack of self-respect. If you are constantly giving of yourself without considering your own needs, you begin to lose touch with your own worth. You may start to think that your value lies in what you do for others rather than in who you are. This can diminish your sense of self-esteem and leave you feeling unappreciated or invisible. True kindness comes from a place of self-respect, where you are aware of your own worth and recognize that you deserve kindness, respect, and care just as much as anyone else. Furthermore, kindness should not be used as a way to avoid confrontation or difficult conversations. Some people may use kindness as a shield to avoid conflict, to prevent uncomfortable situations, or to please others at their own expense. While it is natural to want to avoid tension, the reality is that avoiding confrontation can sometimes lead to deeper problems down the road. In relationships, whether personal or professional, there will be times when you need to speak up, assert your needs, or address a situation that is not working for you. Kindness does not mean avoiding these conversations. It means approaching them with empathy and respect, while still maintaining your integrity and standing firm in your boundaries. It is also important to remember that kindness is not about being a people pleaser. People pleasing often arises from a fear of rejection or disapproval, and it involves going out of your way to make others happy, even if it means sacrificing your own happiness in the process. While being considerate of others is important, it should never come at the expense of your own peace of mind. People-pleasing behavior can quickly lead to burnout and frustration as you try to meet everyone else's needs at the cost of your own. True kindness is about giving with integrity, knowing when to say yes and when to say no, and maintaining your own sense of identity while offering compassion to others. To protect yourself from falling into the trap of using kindness as a license for others to overstep, it is crucial to develop a strong sense of self-awareness and self-worth. Recognize when you are saying yes out of a genuine desire to help and when you are saying yes out of fear, guilt, or a sense of obligation. It is okay to say no, and it is okay to put yourself first when necessary. In fact, doing so can make your acts of kindness even more meaningful because they will come from a place of true intention rather than from a need to please or appease others. Ultimately, kindness is a beautiful and powerful force, but it should always be balanced with self-respect and the understanding that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. It is a gift, not a duty. It should never be used as an excuse for others to take advantage of you or treat you poorly. When kindness is given with intention, respect, and healthy boundaries, it has the power to create meaningful connections, build trust, and make a real difference in the lives of others. But when it is used as a license for others to demand more than you are willing to give, it loses its true purpose and leaves you feeling depleted and undervalued. But protect your kindness, honor your boundaries, and remember that you deserve the same level of care and respect that you offer to others. Choosing who you help is one of the most important decisions you can make in your life. It's easy to fall into the trap of helping anyone who asks or offering support to people simply because they seem to need it. However, without carefully considering who you help and how much you give of yourself, you can quickly become overwhelmed, burned out, and even resentful. Helping others is undoubtedly a noble and fulfilling act, but it's essential to approach it with discernment, as the energy you invest in others can profoundly impact your own well-being, personal goals, and emotional state. The key to choosing who you help lies in recognizing that not all requests for assistance are equal. Not every person who asks for help is someone you are obligated to assist, nor is every situation something you should take on. While it's natural to want to be there for those in need, you must also evaluate whether your involvement will have a positive effect, both on the person you are helping and on yourself. Offering support without assessing the situation first can lead to an imbalance where your own needs are neglected or your time is spread too thin, leaving you unable to be as effective or as present in the areas that truly matter to you. Helping others can sometimes come at a cost to yourself, whether that's your time, emotional energy, or financial resources. Therefore, it's crucial to reflect on your own capacity before extending assistance. It's important to recognize when you are simply helping out of a sense of obligation, guilt, or a desire to avoid conflict, as these motivations often lead to burnout. If your help is not coming from a place of genuine desire, but rather from a sense of pressure or internal expectation, it's likely that both you and the person receiving your help will not benefit as much as you would like. In contrast, when you choose to help those who align with your values, goals, and available resources, your contributions are more likely to have a lasting, meaningful impact. Another aspect of choosing who you help involves evaluating the recipient's attitude and willingness to reciprocate or learn from the assistance you offer. It's important to remember that help should not be given to those who are unwilling to help themselves or take responsibility for their own actions. If someone is repeatedly dependent on you without making any effort to improve their situation or change their behavior, the help you provide may be enabling them rather than supporting their growth. In these cases, it's vital to recognize the difference between helping someone and enabling them. While it may feel rewarding to offer immediate solutions to a problem, it's often more valuable to guide the person towards finding their own solutions, which fosters self-reliance and personal empowerment. Choosing who you help also means considering the dynamics of your relationship with the person asking for assistance. Healthy, balanced relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and shared understanding. If someone consistently takes from you without offering anything in return, whether that's emotional support, respect, or appreciation, it's important to evaluate whether your efforts are being reciprocated in a healthy way. Helping someone who continually drains you without providing support in return can lead to resentment, frustration, and a sense of imbalance. It's crucial to establish boundaries that protect you from being taken advantage of and to recognize that you are not obligated to offer help to everyone, especially if the relationship is one-sided. There's also the matter of your own priorities and goals. We all have finite time and energy, and helping others, while a wonderful act, should not come at the expense of your own aspirations. If you are dedicating too much of your time and energy to helping others, you may find that you have little left for your personal growth or for achieving the goals that are most meaningful to you. By choosing who you help wisely, you can ensure that the time you spend assisting others does not detract from your own path or hinder your progress. When you're able to balance helping others with pursuing your own goals, you can be more present and engaged in your support, as well as more fulfilled in your personal journey. It's equally important to consider the potential impact your help will have on the person's long-term well-being. Some people may ask for help without fully understanding the consequences of their request or the larger implications it might have. Offering help without considering these factors can sometimes have unintended negative consequences, not only for the recipient, but for you as well. If you're not careful, you may end up helping someone in a way that makes their situation more complicated or creates dependency instead of empowering them. To avoid this, it's essential to assess the long-term impact of your help. Is your support enabling the person to solve their problem, or is it merely postponing the inevitable? Will your help empower them, or will it reinforce a sense of helplessness? Another factor in choosing who you help is emotional resonance. You are more likely to make a meaningful difference in someone's life if you feel a deep connection with them, or if their cause or situation resonates with your own values and experiences. For example, if someone you care deeply about is going through a difficult time, you may be more willing and able to offer your help because you have a genuine emotional investment in their well-being. In contrast, helping someone you don't feel connected to or whose situation you don't fully understand can sometimes feel draining or frustrating. While compassion is important, helping others from a place of emotional resonance allows you to give more authentically and meaningfully. And additionally, choosing who to help also involves knowing when to let go. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to help someone as much as we would like, or we may need to step back for our own well-being. This is especially true in situations where the person asking for help is not ready to change or is unwilling to take the necessary steps to improve their situation. In these cases, it's important to recognize that you cannot fix everything for everyone. Helping someone sometimes means knowing when to offer support in the form of guidance, encouragement, or a referral to someone who might be better equipped to assist them. Letting go does not mean abandoning the person. It means respecting both your own limits and the other person's need to take responsibility for their own path. In the end, the act of helping others should be intentional and mindful. You have the right to choose who you help, and your help should always come from a place of love, compassion, and discernment. By carefully considering who you help, why you help them, and what the potential outcomes might be, you ensure that your assistance is both effective and meaningful. Helping others is a powerful way to make a positive impact in the world, but it is also essential to protect your own energy and resources in the process. By making thoughtful choices about who you help, you can contribute to the well-being of others without losing sight of your own needs and boundaries. Remembering your worth is one of the most fundamental and empowering practices you can engage in, yet it is often overlooked or easily forgotten. In a world that constantly pulls you in different directions, demanding your attention and sometimes imposing expectations on you, it can be easy to lose sight of your intrinsic value. But recognizing and internalizing your worth is not just a feel-good concept, it is the foundation of confidence, self-respect, and the ability to make meaningful choices in your life. Understanding your worth enables you to approach life with a stronger sense of self, making decisions that align with your values and goals, rather than seeking validation or approval from others. At the core of remembering your worth is acknowledging that your value does not come from external sources, such as your achievements, material possessions, or the approval of others. These external factors can fluctuate and are often fleeting, leaving you vulnerable to feelings of inadequacy or insecurity. True worth comes from within. It is a reflection of who you are as a person, independent of your accomplishments or circumstances. It is rooted in the recognition that you are valuable simply because you exist. Your worth is inherent, and it is not contingent on any external measure. When you internalize this, you stop measuring yourself based on what you do or what others think, and instead embrace your worth for what it is, constant and unchanging. Often the journey of remembering your worth begins with shedding the negative beliefs and narratives that have been instilled in you throughout your life. From childhood experiences to societal pressures, many people are taught to view themselves through a lens of comparison, competition, or judgment. These external messages can lead to self-doubt and a distorted sense of self-worth. To break free from this conditioning, you must consciously challenge those negative thoughts and beliefs. By acknowledging and rejecting the messages that tell you you're not enough, you can start to rebuild your sense of worth from a place of self-compassion and understanding. Rewriting your inner narrative is a critical step in recognizing that you are deserving of respect, love, and success simply by being who you are. One of the most important aspects of remembering your worth is learning how to value your time and energy. When you truly understand your value, you begin to treat yourself with the same respect and consideration you would offer someone else. This means being mindful of how you spend your time and who you allow into your life. When you know your worth, you are no longer willing to give your time and energy to people or situations that drain you, undervalue you, or disrespect you. You recognize that your time is limited and precious, and you make choices accordingly. This might mean setting boundaries with others, prioritizing your own needs, or walking away from relationships or environments that do not honor your worth. Remembering your worth also requires cultivating self-compassion. In a world that often pushes people to achieve more, do more, be more, it's easy to get caught up in perfectionism or to believe that you are only valuable if you are constantly excelling. However, nobody is perfect, and nobody can sustain that level of intensity indefinitely. It's important to be kind to yourself when you fall short of your own expectations or when you experience setbacks. Instead of beating yourself up or internalizing failure, practice self-compassion by recognizing that mistakes are part of growth and that you are still worthy regardless of your imperfections. The more you practice this kind of self-kindness, the stronger your sense of worth becomes, as it is no longer tied to perfection, but rooted in your humanity. Another key element in remembering your worth is recognizing your unique qualities and strengths. Every person has their own set of talents, skills, and perspectives that make them special. These qualities are not only valuable to you, but also to the world around you. When you remember your worth, you start to see how your individuality contributes to the greater whole, whether it's in your relationships, your work, or your community. Rather than comparing yourself to others or feeling like you have to fit into a specific mold, you begin to celebrate the unique aspects of yourself that make you who you are. Embracing your differences allows you to take pride in your individuality and see it as a source of strength, rather than something to be hidden or downplayed. Your worth is also reflected in the way you treat yourself. When you value yourself, you treat yourself with respect, kindness, and care. This is reflected in how you nourish your body, mind, and spirit, as well as how you manage your mental and emotional health. People who remember their worth tend to make choices that promote their well-being, whether it's through regular exercise, eating healthy foods, taking time for relaxation, or engaging in activities that bring them joy and fulfillment. By making self-care a priority, you demonstrate to yourself that you are deserving of good things and that taking care of yourself is not selfish but necessary. In relationships, remembering your worth means not settling for anything less than you deserve. It means recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and reciprocity. When you have a strong sense of your own value, you no longer tolerate relationships that diminish you or make you feel small. You understand that you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, who support your goals, and who respect your boundaries. Remembering your worth allows you to have the confidence to walk away from toxic relationships and seek out those that bring positivity, encouragement, and mutual respect. Moreover, remembering your worth often involves a deep acceptance of yourself, flaws and all. It's about embracing the whole of who you are, the strengths, the vulnerabilities, and the areas where you still have room to grow. Accepting yourself as you are, without judgment or self-criticism, creates a sense of inner peace that helps you to navigate life's challenges with resilience. And you understand that you are not defined by your mistakes or shortcomings, but by the totality of who you are and the potential that lies within you. This acceptance becomes the foundation upon which you build your confidence, as you are no longer relying on external validation, but are rooted in an unshakable belief in your inherent worth. Finally, remembering your worth means embracing the truth that you are deserving of the best life has to offer. It is about setting high standards for yourself, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep belief that you are worthy of happiness, success, and fulfillment. It means that you don't settle for mediocrity or let fear hold you back from pursuing your dreams. When you remember your worth, you realize that you are capable of achieving greatness, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. This realization empowers you to make bold choices, to pursue your goals with confidence, and to never settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. By constantly reminding yourself of your worth, you set the stage for a life filled with possibility, self-respect, and unshakable self-belief. Leading by example is one of the most powerful and influential ways to inspire and guide others. It is a principle that transcends words, emphasizing actions over rhetoric. When you lead by example, you demonstrate the values, principles, and behaviors that you wish to see in others, creating a living, breathing testament to the standards you uphold. This approach creates authenticity and trust, as people are more likely to follow those who walk the talk rather than those who simply tell others what to do. At the heart of leading by example is the idea that your actions speak louder than your words. It's easy to give advice, to tell others how they should behave, or to preach about the importance of certain values. However, it is much harder and far more effective to embody those values yourself. Whether it's honesty, integrity, discipline, kindness, or perseverance, when you live by these values consistently, you create a blueprint for others to follow. People naturally look to those in leadership positions for guidance, and when they see these principles being lived out in real life, it inspires them to do the same. Leading by example means practicing what you preach in every aspect of your life, not just when it's convenient or when others are watching. It means showing up with integrity even when no one else is around to see it. It involves making tough decisions based on your core beliefs, regardless of the consequences or the opinions of others. Leading by example means setting the standard, not just for others, but also for yourself, and holding yourself accountable to the same expectations you set for those around you. This consistency builds credibility. As people begin to trust your actions more than your words, it's a demonstration of authenticity, where what you say aligns with what you do. One of the most profound effects of leading by example is its power to influence others without the need for force or coercion. People are much more likely to adopt behaviors they see modeled consistently, rather than those they are simply told to adopt. In this way, leading by example creates a ripple effect. When you embody a high standard of conduct, it often inspires others to rise to the same level. This can foster a culture of accountability, growth, and mutual respect within a community or organization. Rather than relying on authority or directives to motivate others, leading by example taps into the intrinsic desire to align with what is admirable and honorable. Moreover, leading by example is a way to foster respect and trust within relationships, whether personal or professional. When you demonstrate the qualities you expect from others, such as punctuality, compassion, patience, or diligence, it encourages others to mirror those behaviors. It removes any ambiguity about what is expected because you show through your actions the behaviors that are valued. Over time, people come to trust that you are someone who holds themselves to a high standard, and this trust becomes the foundation of strong relationships. The power of leading by example also extends beyond personal interactions and can significantly impact broader organizational or community dynamics. Whether it's in a workplace, a school, or a family, leaders who lead by example shape the culture and environment. When a leader prioritizes transparency and openness, for example, it encourages others to communicate honestly and respectfully. When a leader shows resilience in the face of adversity, it can inspire a team or group to stay focused and persistent even in challenging times. This type of leadership builds a sense of unity, fostering a culture where people feel valued, motivated, and inspired to contribute to the collective goals. Leading by example is not about perfection, it's about consistency, honesty, and the willingness to own your mistakes. In fact, one of the most powerful aspects of leading by example is showing vulnerability. When you make a mistake, admit it openly and take responsibility. This demonstrates accountability and humility, two traits that are essential for authentic leadership. By showing that you are not above mistakes and that you are willing to learn and grow, you create an environment where others feel comfortable doing the same. People are more likely to follow leaders who are authentic and human, as this fosters an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. Additionally, leading by example involves showing empathy and understanding toward others. It's not just about the results you achieve, but how you treat those around you in the process. When you show care for others, listen to them, and offer support, you create a sense of community and connection. This type of leadership encourages others to be more compassionate, considerate, and collaborative, which benefits everyone involved. In this way, leadership becomes not just about guiding people toward a goal, but also about creating an environment where people feel seen, heard, and valued. At times, leading by example can be a difficult path to take. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and the courage to stand by your principles, even when it might be easier to compromise. It also requires the ability to withstand criticism, as others may not always agree with the path you choose or the example you set. However, true leadership is not about seeking approval or avoiding challenges. It's about doing what is right, even when it is hard. This willingness to stand firm in your beliefs and actions, even under pressure, strengthens your leadership and builds the resilience needed to inspire others through both your successes and your struggles. Lastly, leading by example is an ongoing process. It is not a one-time event or a set of actions you take in the moment. It is a continuous demonstration of values over time. It requires reflection, adaptation, and the willingness to grow. Leadership is not static, and neither should be the example you set. To truly lead by example, you must be committed to personal development and be open to feedback. This continual evolution, both in terms of your actions and the example you set, keeps you grounded and relevant, enabling you to lead in ways that resonate with the people around you. Ultimately, leading by example is a powerful, effective, and enduring way to influence and inspire others. It is about setting a standard through your actions and embodying the principles that you believe in. Through this method, you not only guide others, but also elevate yourself, creating a cycle of growth, respect, and authenticity that benefits everyone involved. When you lead by example, you become a beacon of integrity, a source of inspiration, and a catalyst for positive change.